Hello everyone, my name is Viviane Herdel and I'm very excited to present you today a scoping review with the title Above and Beyond, a scoping review of domains and applications for human-drone interaction. With this scoping review, we actually do not only look backwards into what has been done so far, but also forward into what researchers envision this research area to become. The motivation for this work was that even though the HDI community investigated new technology, artifacts, and interaction techniques over the last decade that allow co-located interactions with drones, such as in traffic, or in different situations such as search and rescue, there is no holistic view of how HDI research developed in the past decade and how researchers envision this exciting technology for the future. Our goal was therefore to provide a high-level perspective on current and future use cases for HDI. And to accomplish this goal, we performed the scoping review following the PRISMA guidelines, including the identification, the screening, the eligibility of the articles, and the inclusion of articles. In total, we included 217 articles in our scoping review. The articles were primarily published at the ACM Conference on Human Factors in Computing Systems and the ACM IEEE International Conference on Human-Robot Interaction. We found that the articles were published throughout a large spectrum of scientific conferences and journals with over 80 unique venues. Moreover, the articles were published over the last decade between 2010 and 2021, reaching a peak in 2018. Interestingly, about a quarter of the reviewed articles were extant abstracts, which is a sign of the recent nature of the research field. And most of our articles were published in our principal and supplementary search system, ACM and IEEE. We identified 16 domains for HDI, from which emergency, entertainment, communication, and sports gathered already half of the domain mentioning. And on the application side, we identified over 100 applications for HDI. And because some of these applications presented similarities, we decided to organize them in groups, which resulted in 33 application groups. From these, deliver, take pictures, make videos gathered more than 1/3 of the application mentioning. Moreover, we proposed 7 drone metaphors. These drone metaphors correspond to a set of applications each drone could perform. The drone metaphors are the helpful drone, the amicable drone, the functional drone, the knowing drone, the sensational drone, the reliable drone, and lastly, the unusual drone. And the creation of these drones was motivated by the finding that some applications are domain dependent, while others are domain independent, meaning that they are not tied to a specific domain, such as taking pictures, which can be used in emergency, entertainment, and other domains. And this creates interesting challenges, for example, around acceptability and interaction techniques. And moreover, applications might need to be investigated across domains before results can be generalized. We therefore suggest drone metaphors as a starting point for researchers to describe and study HDI across different domains. Moreover, we identified 5 research challenges for the human-drone interaction community. The first research challenge proposes that the position of the human in the loop needs to be modeled, including an understanding from the transition from bystander to user. This is important because we find different persons in interaction with drones. For example, users can be controlling the drone as part of their job, but bystanders on the other side may be confronted to a drone in an unplanned situation, for example, when the drone is rescuing them in a natural disaster. As such, we cannot expect the same drone and the same user interface to fit both types of users within the same domain. We moreover found that drones are often mentioned as assisting people or instructing workers without specific information as to their functionalities. And that leaves the role and the level of autonomy of the drone open to interpretation. The second research challenge therefore states that we need a mapping of all potential roles of the drone within HDI research. Moreover, we found that articles discussing interaction techniques are more often than not confined to the technique itself and rarely designed and evaluated within an application or domain. The third challenge is therefore that we need to identify the metrics to quantify the value of HDI across various situations of use to provide ecological validity to current and future research works. Other than this, we saw many different factors of HDI context illustrating the complexity of HDI research, which we'll need to take into account these factors, for example, the environmental conditions, goals and tasks of the drone, application and domain, and many more. Therefore, we need well-established factors to define context of use, which will support better generalizability of research works. And lastly, while some domains and applications are more often mentioned than others, this may not be fully representative of the interest of HDI to these particular domains or applications. We therefore highlight some of the underexplored use cases for HDI with great future potential. And the first one is to investigate the transition from drones that are flying to grounded and vice versa. The second one discusses drones as service supporting sustainability. And this notion exists in the literature, for example, when robots and drones are suggested for last mile delivery. And the last one is companion drones, as we find an increasing number of applications where drones are mentioned or are moving from being a tool to a support technology, for example, for learning, emotional support, and relaxation. So this work contributes first a holistic view of HDI domains and applications, then a quantification of HDI domains and applications where we identified more than 100 applications and 16 domains for HDI, and 5 research challenges for the HDI community. And while these are the highlights of our findings, for the detailed results, we invite you to read the full paper. And of course, we would also be happy to hear your thoughts on the paper or would like to answer any questions you might have. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And thank you very much for your attention.